What is happening, everybody? My name is Grim. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be looking ahead to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Yo, thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Now the media has been complete, media day is complete in Jeddah for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix coming up this weekend, and we're going to go through a few things, a few predictions, and obviously go through the crazy news of Max Verstappen potentially joining Mercedes. Alright guys, so I've watched all the interviews going into the weekend, and let's talk about Max Verstappen first off the bat. Now Max Verstappen says that he's feeling confident with the car and feeling confident with the team moving forward. He thinks that anything can happen this weekend, but they are pretty confident going in, Red Bull. It was sort of the same words from Checo Perez. And obviously Max was asked about the Mercedes thing, and straight off the bat, let's just talk about it. Max Verstappen to Mercedes in 2025, is it possible? Absolutely yes. Now, people don't really realize Jos Verstappen has a lot of say in Max Verstappen's career. They've been together since the beginning. Jos had a plan, got him to Formula 1, they became champion together, and it was their dream, I guess, to become world champions, and Jos has created a beast of a driver in Max Verstappen. Now, guys, at the end of the day, people in the comment section saying Jos needs to leave, Jos needs to do this. Mate, Max Verstappen is loyal to only two people, Jos Verstappen and Helmut Marko. Now, obviously, he's going to listen to Jos more than anybody. It's his dad, and without his dad, he wouldn't have even been in Formula 1. So he's going to take his dad's advice out of everyone compared to anybody else's in his Formula 1 career at this point in time. Now, Lewis Hamilton spoke about it, said it's a rough edge, I guess, to, sort of have that sort of situation. Obviously, Lewis had his dad as his manager and then obviously got rid of him. But I don't see Max Verstappen doing so. And Max sort of threatened to leave Formula 1 if there is no Jos Verstappen in the paddock. Now, Jos isn't actually going to be in Saudi Arabia for this Grand Prix. He has a few races in another series coming up. So he won't be in Saudi Arabia, and maybe not in the Australian Grand Prix either. Not too sure about Australia, though. But at the moment, he's not going to be there. Now, we did see footage of Jos Verstappen talking to Christian Horner. I think it was filmed by Sky Sports Italy, a heated conversation, which was very, very interesting. A lot of gestures and stuff, but who knows what they were talking about. And obviously, Jos Verstappen talking to Toto Wolff for a potential move for Max Verstappen to go to Mercedes in 2025. Listen, it'd be freaking awesome. Lewis to Ferrari, Max to Mercedes. Fernando Alonso and I'd say maybe Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz to Red Bull. Now, I did make a comment on Instagram saying that Perez is a bit washed and needs to go. Had a lot of hate from people, but that's my opinion. I think Perez had his time with a major team at McLaren when he was teammates with Jenson Button. My personal opinion, a lot of people, I've had people say, oh, Perez has never had a good car. Yes, he has. He drove a McLaren. Like, mate, you don't know nothing about Formula 1. Stick to Drive to Survive. Anyway, that was Max Verstappen. What do you have to say? Max Verstappen said, never say never. And you never know. And they sort of tried to say like, oh, what about your dad's comments? What are you going to say about that? He dodged the question, but didn't talk anything down or anything bad about his dad. Nor Christian Horner or Red Bull, but did say anything can happen in the future. Toto Wolff was asked about the situation with Max Verstappen. And Toto came out and said, anything possibly could happen as well. And then George Russell also was open to Max joining the team, saying Max Verstappen will be an asset to any team to sign him. Obviously being a three-time world champion, such a champion of a driver. And then was asked the question, would you open Max to join Mercedes? And Russell replied, pretty much, I've had Lewis Hamilton as a teammate, the seven-time world champion for 3 years. He goes, I've done pretty well against him. I've got confidence that I can beat anybody in the Formula 1 paddock. So Russell, open to anybody joining the team, if that's Max, Kimi Antonelli, and etc. He doesn't care who it is, but I'd love to see Max team up with George Russell for 2025, opening the Red Bull seat, potentially for a new champion next season. Charles Leclerc doesn't think the Ferrari can challenge Max for now, but said they are on top of that brake issue that they had in Bahrain and are confident that they're going to increase the pace of the Ferrari. They are better off this year than they are last year from where they started off. And sort of the same words from Carlos Sainz. Let's see what happens with Ferrari going into the weekend. Lewis Hamilton was more optimistic, saying there is a chance in Saudi Arabia for something to happen. It's a front-wheel drive circuit, and he says we don't know how Red Bull are going to react, and we all know Red Bull is more of a rear-end type car that sort of suits those sort of type of tracks. So Lewis is optimistic going into the weekend. Listen, prediction-wise, I think Red Bull are going to absolutely dominate once again. we're getting a lot of off-track action compared to on-track, which is unfortunate a bit for the sport, but I'll probably talk about that in another video. Today we're talking about the press conferences going in to Saudi Arabia. Fernando Alonso is happy where they've started the season, and they said they can build from there. Lance Stroll sort of same point, saying, you know, we're going to build from here. And saying, you know, we've started the season strong. Now, Alonso, I don't know if he looks too happy, to be honest with you. He goes, last year we're fighting for podiums, but we are still in a strong spot this season. Do I see Alonso trying to leave Aston Martin at the end of this year? Yes. I think he's going to either try and go to that Mercedes or Red Bull. He even said he could possibly retire, but that's Fernando throwing stories and speculation in the media. That's what I feel like. Anyway, Alonso to Red Bull, make it happen. Now, that was sort of it for the media. There wasn't much more. Now, going into the news for the weekend, Williams are bringing a temporary fix for the steering wheel glitch that Logan Sargent suffered during the Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly said there's positive changes for the Alpine team, so even though he was surprised about the whole departure from, you know, key figures from the team, but he says he does trust in the judgment of the people that, you know, hire people for these top spots, and says that Alpine are going to continue to try and push forward. Sort of same words from Ocon. Didn't get as much detail as Gasly if you watched the interviews, but Alpine have a lot of work to do, guys, going into this season. Russell calls for total transparency from the FIA's president, Ben Salim, in the F1 cases, and it's all hush-hush at the moment. I made a reel about it. Listen, Ben Salim was accused from some fixing, I guess, of like races, but I don't think it's true. I think it's some bullcrap off-track antics that the people are trying to spin, you know what I mean? So anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Audi are ready to set that Sauber takeover for in a couple seasons time. So once I do that, can we get a Carlos Sainz to Sauber next year? Listen, I think Carlos has to be at a better team going into next season. He's almost at his peak, if not his peak at the moment, to try and become a Formula 1 world champion. Okay, so my top 5 going into Saudi Arabia, I have Max Verstappen P1, Sergio Perez P2, Carlos Sainz P3, actually in front of Charles Leclerc, and I have P4 Lewis Hamilton, and 5th Charles Leclerc. I think that Ferrari will lose out a bit with Charles again. I think Charles might struggle a little bit. I think Carlos will be on form once again. I think Lewis deserves a race where he comes back, and last time Lewis had a win was in Jeddah, but I think the best Lewis can probably get is 4th. We don't know what McLaren's going to do. We don't know what Aston's going to do. We don't even know if Red Bull are going to dominate. We all think they are, so it's going to be interesting to see. But listen, guys, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is coming up very, very shortly. Practice 1 and Practice 2. I'll make a video on that coming up. And obviously, we're going to get into Practice 3 and qualifying, which I will be making separate videos on. And then, of course, the final part of reviewing the race. Bring on Saudi Arabia. Then next up after here, we have the Melbourne Australian Grand Prix. So that's going to be interesting as well. But listen, Saudi Arabia, around the corner. Let's go. One of my favorite tracks actually on the calendar. Really cool place. So yeah, bring it on. Let's go. Max Verstappen potentially winning the second race, 2 out of 2. Listen, my name is Grim. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in my next Formula 1 video. Thank you.